who asked you to speak. It really wasn't me. Okay, so Dicky owns a bunch of properties. How many properties do you own?
21.
21. He's not a property manager, of course.
If you own property, then you can be. So,
Oh, is that right?
yes.
Oh.
If I own the property, I can be.
If you own the property.
I can manage my own properties. I can't manage others. Do I? Yes. But I'm not telling anybody.
It's recording.
You'll never figure it out. I didn't sell these properties, so you'll never figure it out.
All right. So 21 properties. How did you do it?
You know, it's funny, my nephew asked me, why do I own so many properties? And he was 21 at the time. He couldn't understand. He said, it looks like a pain in the ass. Does anybody buy stock in here? Stock's in anything, right? If you buy $200,000 worth of stock, how much money do you need to buy it? 200 grand. You buy a $200,000 house, how much money do you need to buy it?
20,000.
If that.
Yeah.
You know, you might even make it 7,000. So let's just say we do 40. Let's say I put 20% down because I'm buying a property, $200,000 property. It's 20 grand. And let's say I do the stocks. I need $200,000 to go to the stocks. They go up 10% a year. That's a great return. And I make $20,000 on a $200,000 investment. If I buy the same house, a $200,000 house, I put 20% down, which is $40,000. And it only goes up half as much as the stock market. It's only went up 5%. So it went up $10,000. I just made $25% on my money. That's the important part. You got leverage. And I bring that up because everybody says, how did I get my properties? I bought my first property as an owner-occupant, and I did FHA. I put $3,500 down. It was a $70,000 property. I renovated it, so I got a loan, you know, to put another $50 into it, and then was into it for $140 to appraise for $200. So I automatically have my 20% equity in there. And they've gotten rid of these type of loans. They're called IDOTs, but what they'll do is they'll let me use anything under 80% if I still have equity in it. So if my equity actually was 40%, I got to keep 20% in there for that house, and they'll let me use that other 20% to go buy another property. And that's what I did, time and time again. And I hate to say it, the most money I ever put down on any property was $1,000. Right, which makes you crazy. But this was when they were giving money away. You know, all you do is follow the mirror and they give you a loan. And I got in line a number of times. And it got to the point where I'd get home, my wife wasn't like, how was your day? She was like, what'd you buy? Because I remember I was at a cocktail party with some friends of mine, and my wife's standing there and I'm telling my buddy I just bought a 7-unit building, and she's like, what? Oh, I forgot to tell you something. But I got into that, and I kept saying I'm doing this for my kids, because she thought it was a house of cards. I mean, really to the point where my name's not on our primary residence, because she thought for sure I was going to bankrupt us, and she didn't want to take down the primary residence, so I'm just on the properties. But I said it's for the kids, and we didn't have kids at the time. We just got married, and we didn't have kids till 2004 or something. I have 3 kids now, and I get some serious tuition bills. My wife is, thank God you have this property. The positive cash flow right now, it's good, but it's not great. But the equity will pay for their college in full. You know, and she actually made me write something down saying that I was willing to sell the properties to pay for college. But my thing is, and I was a stockbroker for a year. I don't know if anybody knows that. I hated it. I crashed and burned. It sucked. I couldn't ask people for money, but I do know about stocks, and I really believe in real estate. People say you should get in the stock market, and I do have a little bit of money there, but all my money goes back into real estate. For one, I know it, and you all know real estate. 2, it turns like the Queen Mary in Baltimore Harbor. You can see a neighborhood turning coming from a year away. You can't see a stock dropping. It'll drop this afternoon without you even knowing it. That's why I don't like stocks. I mean, I think they're great. I think you should have some money in there, but real estate to me, so I can get in for cheaply, I can make a better return on my money. It appreciates. Why people buy expensive cars, I don't know. And I've given my kids, as soon as they could understand concept of the difference between appreciation and depreciation. I said, you want to buy appreciable objects, not depreciable objects. So hopefully my kids will never buy Hummers. But real estate's an appreciable. It will always appreciate. I mean, granted, we had the crash of 2008, and I can remember I was with my father-in-law. We drove to Ocean City 3-hour drive. It took him 2 hours and 45 minutes to hint around and suggest this to try and find out if I was getting foreclosed on and anything, because everybody was losing their shirt. And I waited till we crossed the bridge, and I said, no, I'm fine. So it just sort of dragged it out. But very rarely will you lose money in real estate unless you make a bad deal. I really like bread and butter. You know, I'm not going to go off of some exotic house, and I don't want it to be too expensive. I want bread and butter. Why? Because people will rent those. And a lot of people, I was just with some new clients on Sunday, and they have a house to sell in Patterson Park, and they're like, yeah, I want to sell it. And I'm a real estate agent, and that's what I do, but I said, no, you want to rent it. They were like, no, we rented it one time, it was horrible. And I said, you didn't do it right. You didn't treat it like a business. And trust me, I learned that the hard way. I've been doing this for 20 years. So the first 10 years, I was trying to be kind and nice and compassionate and personal. It's a try.
No.
But it's a business. I mean, it is a business. I'm evicting a 69-year-old lawyer next week. And I've been screwing around with this guy for a long time. Obviously, he's not a very good lawyer. But it's a business, and I feel really bad for him because, I mean, we're running into a problem between when the sheriff shows up and he gets his place in his assisted living place. And I said, I'm sorry, but I will not delay that sheriff. He's showing up, and so you better find something to do. But it's a business, and the longer I wait, the more money I lose. So, but anyway, I really, truly believe in owning rental properties. I mean, flipping's not a bad idea to create equity to go buy properties, but a lot of people say to me, oh, you got all this equity in such and such property, why don't you sell it? And my standard response to everybody's, and then what? What do I do? Do I buy at the market now? Do I put my money in cash? Do I get it taxed? No, I keep it. I mean, the only reason I'll ever sell anything is to pay for my kids' school. I want to die and give them to my kids. When my daughter was 7, she got in a fight with my wife, and I told my kids I was going to give them the properties, and she said she was moving out, and Dad was giving her a property. My phone rang in like 10 seconds. What are you doing? She's 7. She doesn't get it yet. But I truly believe that you can get into a property cheaply. My second thing was I would buy as an owner-occupant. Live there for a year, rent it, and go buy as an owner-occupant. Live there for a year and rent it and go buy as an owner-occupant. Why do you buy as an owner-occupant? For one, you only have to put 3.5% down or 5% down, and you get a lower rate. You probably get a 4% rate. Investor rates now are like 5, 5.5.
We're doing questions now, or are we waiting to the end?
Yeah, we do questions.
Yeah.
So you said a year for the owner occupant.
Right.
So what's like, we get so many different responses. What is the official
Mortgage-
amount of time?
12 months.
So it is,
Yeah.
12 months.
Well, on FHA loans, you have to be there a year
For
and you
FHA.
sign for FHA. But keep in mind, if you're gonna go do the next one, you gotta refinance out of that FHA, conventional, to get another
What if
FHA.
it's a conventional purchase? How long do you have to live there or stay there?
I think it's 6 months.
6 months.
I think it's 6 months, but a lot of mine were rehabs, and so it took me 9 months to rehab it, or at least they thought. And so, but that was my thing, is to keep the rates low and to keep the down payment low.
How do they know if you're really living there when
They
you're
don't.
paying taxes?
They don't. They will only check on you if you stop paying the mortgage. They have millions and millions of mortgages, they don't care. As long as you're paying them on time, they're not gonna care.
So let's go back to you purchasing. Give us an idea of what's a good purchase, because too often we purchase a property and it's not in the best of neighborhood, but we are waiting for it to turn around. Yet, you got taxes coming in on you, you got maintenance, and so on and so forth. So here's your purchase amount, and yet your debt is still climbing.
If I'm gonna buy something, let's say Edna Gardens is a good example. In my mind, just personal opinion here, Edna Gardens is contracting. Everything around there is not great. You have, well actually, Charles Village is fine, but around Edna Gardens is Penn Lucy. Penn Lucy is one of the nastiest neighborhoods in all of Baltimore. I do own a property in Penn Lucy. It's contracting. Patterson Park is expanding. Find something that's expanding. Find a neighborhood that's expanding, not contracting, because then you're gonna just take forever. And then you gotta really think about this. It's not going anywhere for 5 years. It really isn't. So am I gonna make money off here's my mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance, and let's assume I'm gonna be out a month's rent for vacancy. Is the mortgage, the rent payment gonna cover all that stuff? And believe, I for the first 7 years, my wife yelled at me once a month because I was underwater on half my properties. Because my problem was, and this is a big thing, I would buy the properties for 100, I'd put 60 into it, so I'm into it for 160. They would I would get them refinanced and they'd be appraised at 200 or more, so I had my 20% in there. So what were the taxes when I bought them? They were based on 100. When I refinanced, what were the taxes?
You reassess the property.
Based at 200, so they doubled. I didn't see that coming.
Because you didn't calculate
Right.
it in.
I mean, with every buyer I have now, they're like, they look at my little listing sheet, oh, the taxes are, I'm like, don't worry about that. They won't be. Whatever they are, they won't be. They are gonna be based on what you buy it for now, or what you, and so that was one of my biggest lessons was, watch what the taxes are gonna be, not what they are now, because going from a $200 a month positive cash flow and the taxes go up $300, I'm in the hole. You don't wanna be in the hole.
So renovating those, you already had your people on behind you know, your contractor, your whatever.
Oh, I
you
did all the
need
work
to-
myself then.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
now I do. I mean, yeah, it's not a bad idea, but keep in mind when you're buying, you gotta think of what's it gonna cost to renovate, what's it gonna be worth after I renovate, where's that money coming from? And if you do a renovation loan, then you got a lot of hoops to jump through with the bank, especially FHA. So you gotta have a contractor on board. I was just selling a young guy I showed him houses for 5 months, and he wanted to do that, the flipping idea. The one piece he was missing, along with 15 others, but the big one, he did not have a contact as a contractor. So he would find a house that was $60,000, he's thinking he's gonna put 50 into it, it's gonna sell for 200. Every contractor that came out there gave him a price of 140 to renovate it, every single one of them. So if you're gonna renovate, you gotta have a contractor in your back pocket, or be one, or whatever.
You have to know your numbers.
Right, you gotta know your numbers.
You wanna stay around 65% loan to value, cause you don't make your money afterwards, you make your money when you purchase it,
Right.
up front.
Yeah,
Because
I
if you
love that
buy it
too.
at the right price, you will never go wrong.
Right,
You may not make the money you thought, but you still will make money.
right.
And not only that, because we did the same thing, but you gotta keep your eye on the market and how
Oh,
it's
definitely.
changing, because one minute you got this, and with all these devastation, material costs, building material costs is going up too. So you need to weigh your options.
And if you're looking at it and it's close, pass by. I just had a buddy of mine just lost a multi-unit. He's like, I gotta buy that. I said, dude, just my experience in 20 years, there will always be another deal.
That's what my husband
Always.
told me.
You know?
I had to make an oath. I won't
Yeah.
buy nothing this year, and it's killing me.
Right.
Only got a few months.
I need
Few
rehab.
more months.
I just gotta-
Hang in there. It's almost January.
I know, right?
Yes,
So
I-
you bring the contractor in before you sign the deal, just to see if it's even worth signing?
If you're not 100%
Bring 'em
sure of your
with you.
cost, yeah. I mean, now I know what I know what I can get something for, but I've been doing it a long time. But yeah, get your contractor in there so you're not surprised at the end going, wait, because if you're close on numbers and he comes in high, or she, then you're out.
When you make that appointment with your realtor, I know you're not a realtor, right? I'm just playing. I know you are. But when you make your appointment, the same day you call your contractor and y'all line y'all schedules up accordingly to go, because you want him with you when you go in there. That way, you'll get his numbers back within probably 28 to 48 hours to make a decision, because I'm telling you, there's a lot of investors out there trying to do exactly what you're trying to do. So the sooner you respond, the quicker you'll get the deal. But you don't want to get into a deal because you're thinking everybody's going to get it. You got to get into the deal because the numbers make sense and you've done your homework, you've done your due diligence and stuff. And then that way, at least when you do win the bid, you know that you got a solid bid.
So you don't get caught up in the competition.
Exactly.
Just the
Because
sellers.
we tend, as realtors, not myself, because I educate my buyers, but a lot of realtors is just doing mainstream real estate. Their goal is to tell you, hey, we gotta get this because it's a really hot property, it's only been on the market for a day, we gotta get over there right now, you need to make a decision today. And that's what we do. And then they run out there and they do that.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
what Dicky said, your contractor come in and tell you it's $100,000.
Right.
And whether it's land development or rehab, the old formula is a third, a third, a third. Third, purchase, third, upgrading, and third profit.
Yeah.
So it used to be holding properties and LLCs was very